For the strength segment of this session, we're going to go over 3 techniques which you can use. In this segment, you can do 3 to 4 rounds. This is a more strength stability type work that we're going to do. And I'm going to go through the same process of giving you the instructions on what you should be focusing on. And once I've gone through that, you can practice along with me and then go ahead and do your working set. We're going to start with the first as a lunge lockout. Now, the thing I want to make sure of is that when you're lunging, that you do make sure that you're on what I like to refer to as cross-country ski tracks. A common mistake I see for people is when they step back or forward, they step onto a tightrope or more in line, which does 2 things. It takes away from their balance, and then it also doesn't allow the hips to square completely. And for this, I really would prefer if the hips were square. So when I step forward or back, I want to make sure that I maybe not step, but even just slide the foot on that cross-country ski trail. Imagine that you're skiing, slide that foot back into that nice long lunge position, or forward, whichever you prefer. But think of those tracks. So going sideways, I'll start by sliding one foot out here on those ski tracks, making sure it's nice and long. Now in the lunge, we want to make sure that the knee stays pretty much over the heel. We don't want to have the knee behind the heel, and we don't want to have it way forward in line with the toes or past the toes. Going past the toes is something called a split squat, not a lunge. So from here, in my lunge position, making sure my hips are square, I come up on the ball of the foot of the back foot, making sure, again, the heel is pointed straight back. If the heel is pointed off behind me and the toes are pointed off to the side, the hip will open as well. So make sure that heel is up, straight back, hips are square. And from there, I'm dropping the back knee or lowering the back knee to the floor and coming to a point where I'm just above the floor. Checking my knee at the front, making sure the knee's not too far forward, adjusting as necessary. And then from there, the idea is to make sure your hip is tucked underneath to focus everything in the front of the hip. And try not to go up and down too much. We don't want to go up and down like a regular lunge. It's not this way that we're going. It's actually opening, so I'm driving the heel away, straightening the back leg as much as I can, and coming back. Straightening and locking out. I want to make sure I keep the hips tucked underneath so I don't arch the low back. And I want to make sure I'm not compensating through the upper body by leaning forward to try and make it easier. Upright, hips tucked under, open, pause, relax. Open, pause, relax. You can do 5 to 10 on one side, and then 5 to 10 on the other. Getting into my nice long lunge, sliding back, making sure it's good and long so the knee stays over the ankle. Ball of the foot, heel straight up, and turn straight back, not out to the side, opening the hips. From here, hips square, body upright, tucked underneath. Knee just off the floor, straighten the back leg, lock out, and release. You'll notice that I'm not going up and down very much. You might go up a little bit, but you don't want this happening. Lock, relax, lock, and relax. Return. The second exercise in this set is using the straight leg lift and rotation work to strengthen the hip flexor and the hip itself. I do recommend you use some balance with this until you've worked on your balance and become proficient at it. You want to do things a little bit more dynamically. This will help make sure you stay very stable in the upper body so you can focus everything in the hip. So, the various positions you can use. You can have the foot straight out in front for more of a pike feel. You can have it out 45 degrees for a straddle feel, or out to the side, which will challenge it a little bit more in the glute. So from here, I'll go just slightly open, somewhere between pike and straddle. And from there, I lock out the front leg. So I want to make sure the quad is activated, the glutes activated. The other side, I can bend the knee slightly. It doesn't need to be locked out, but we really want this engagement working. And from there, I'll do 5 to 10 leg lifts. So from there, engaging, balancing on with the help of the PVC. I also want to make sure I don't lean away from this. What we don't want to do is not cheat ourselves by leaning away, but actually get the feeling of more leaning into it. So we're challenging the hip as much as possible. Doesn't matter how high you lift the leg. What matters is how much you focus on challenging that range. So from here, engaged, lift, pause, and lower, lift, pause, and lower. After 5 to 10 reps, you'll lift, pause, and do little small circles. 5 to start with, up to 10 in one direction, 5 to 10 in the other direction. Once you've done that, pause again and hold for a 10-second count or more if you start getting stronger. Now, what I want to make sure of here is I don't start cheating, letting the leg drop, lean away. The whole time I'm holding, I want to make sure everything's contracted and the leg is still lifting, 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 actively trying to raise, not just holding in place. So once I'm here, I'm really working on continuing to lift it as high as I can, trying to close this angle, keeping everything contracted. Once you've done 10 to 20 seconds, you can lower it back down and repeat on the other side. Straight, blocked out, roughly 30 degrees, body's upright, leaning more into than away from. You got your 5 lifts with a pause. You got your circles, 5 to 10 in each direction. And then you got your hold, 10 to 20 seconds where I'm actually working to lift that heel up towards the ceiling. And that is the one leg, we'll call it ERR, for end range rotation. As you can see, I'm a little bit winded from doing this. Yes, I'm talking, but this work should be challenging. You should be working up a sweat. And that comes from focusing on challenging yourself the whole time. This isn't the easy warm-up mobility work we do as part of the warm-up. It is focused, challenging, strengthening, stabilizing. The last movement we're going to do is called a one-leg Romanian deadlift. We're working up some stability and balance, but the stability and strength that we're working on is in the hip. So what I find is there are certain points that you need to hit to get the most out of this. I see some common mistakes with people who are not hitting those points and therefore not getting the most out of it. Yes, it's challenging to hit the points, absolutely, but that's what this movement is all about, challenging you. So, with one leg, balancing, I can allow that leg to bend slightly. The other leg is going to lift up behind me. Now what we want to do is think of the back leg as doing the work. It is what's causing me to bend over. See what I mean in a moment. So from here, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to engage the leg behind me. This is the stability leg. This is the one I'm balancing on. I want to make sure the knee's slightly bent and I'm over top of this leg. From here, this one is locked out and the glute is active as well. I want to make sure that both glutes stay active the whole time. The other thing I want to make sure of, just like with the lunge lockout, is that my toes don't point off to the side, because you can clearly see what happens to my hip when I do that. It opens up. So I want to make sure that the heel always stays straight back and sort of pointing towards the ceiling, toes pointed down towards the floor, as opposed to pointing up to the side. Once I'm in this position, the body's upright, I'm going to use the heel to push me over. I'm going to hinge at the waist, keeping my upper body in line with the back leg. So from here, locking out, I'm hinging at the hips, the back leg is lifting, the heel is lifting, the toes are pointing down. I'm making sure this hip is turning towards the other hip and not turning out. And from there, returning into that position. Locked out, lift, allow the lift to hinge at the waist, keeping my back nice and flat. You can use hands out to the side for extra balance. It'll also give you an indication that you open your body, you might be turning like that banking airplane. One of the things you can try when you're doing this work is to have a PVC behind you or a broomstick. And you make sure that it contacts 3 points in between the hips, center of the back, and the head. And then from there, when I do this one-leg RDL, I want to make sure that I keep those 3 points of contact. So if you are not lifting with your back leg, and you are just doing what most people do is reach for the ground, this is what tends to happen. The 3 points of contact are lost. I'm ending up in a more pike position, not in a straight line. You want to keep that straight line from head to heel. So when I'm practicing with a broomstick, to make sure I've got the alignment, I want to make sure that the heel is pushing me up, and I keep those 3 points of contact between hip, back, and head. So that's the one leg Romanian deadlift. Practice the 3 movements, make sure you understand them, and then you can do your sets of 3 or 4, which means more like rounds. So you'll do the lunge lockout, then the in-range rotation, then the RDL, and then repeat for 3 or 4 sets. Once you're done that, you can do some flexibility work, which will be in the next part of this video.